Welcome to Jones Kitchen. So, in today's episode, we are going to be making a healthy mac and cheese.
Now, you might be asking, how do you make mac and cheese healthy?
How do you, Kay?
So we are going to be using some lower fat or reduced fat cheeses to help eliminate some of the fat that is typically seen in mac and cheese. Typically, mac and cheese is a very high fat, high calorie meal, but by using some low fat cheeses or even fat free cheeses, we will still be able to get some of that same flavor, just with a little bit less fat.
Comment down below if you eat mac and cheese around the holidays. I know I personally love mac and cheese around the holidays.
Oh my gosh, it is seriously one of my favorite meals. I love it so much. So I created this recipe so that we could still enjoy some of the foods that we love, but with a little less guilt.
Let me know if it's just an East Coast thing, because I always love my mac and cheese on Christmas and on Thanksgiving. And one thing I also grew up with was a little bit of barbecue chicken, which apparently isn't a thing.
Yeah, and I am from the Midwest, and I did not grow up eating mac and cheese for the holidays, but I will convert, hands down. I'm a girl who loves her mac and cheese, so we can eat it for every single holiday. That's fine by me.
So, we'll have the nutritional facts for you guys at the end, and more specifically, the actual macros of this mac and cheese.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So first we are going to start by boiling some water over the stove. So I just have a regular saucepan and I'm just going to go ahead and bring it to a boil. Once you bring that to a boil, we are going to add in one entire box of rotini, and we're going to cook that until it's just al dente. So the reason that we want it to be al dente is because we are also going to put this mac and cheese into the oven. So we don't want it to be fully cooked, because then once we put it in the oven, it might be a little too soggy, too mushy, and too done. So if you cook it just before it's done, then we can still get a little extra cook in the oven too at the end. Now, once you drain the pasta, I then just go ahead and put it in a bowl, and I'm just spraying it down with some olive oil cooking spray here, and this just allows for the noodles to not stick together while I make my cheese sauce. Now, you could pour a little bit of olive oil in there. However, to save on some calories, I just went ahead and used just a dash of cooking spray. Next, it's time for the butter. So we added in 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Now I put this over a low to medium heat, and I'm just gonna let it melt in this pot here. And I just use the exact same pot that I use to cook the noodles. So this is really like a one and done sort of deal in terms of what we're gonna be using to cook on the stovetop. So that's super nice. So we're not gonna have tons and tons of dirty dishes. Next, we're going to add in 1/4 cup of flour, and we are going to gradually mix this in. You can use a whisk. I'm just using a spatula here. I really love these rubber ones. Some of them are not safe to use under heat, but this one is. So I love it. So we're just going to make that roux. And then we are going to add in 3 cups of skim milk. Now, this right here is one of my places that we're saving on some fat. So, typically in mac and cheese, you will see whole milk or half and half, or even a straight up heavy cream, but we don't need that, because here's our secret weapon: some whipped cream cheese. And then I'm also going to add in another one of my secret weapons, and this is 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. And with the whipped cream cheese, we used 6 tablespoons. So we're just gonna go ahead and gradually mix this in, and it will melt in as we melt our cheese sauce. So see how this is starting to thicken up here? That's perfect. That's exactly what we want. So we're gonna add in 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, and then just salt and pepper to taste. So I'm just taking my grinder and just grinding a decent amount in there. I personally love pepper, so I went a little heavy on the pepper, but please use your discretion if you have someone in your family that doesn't love spicy, doesn't love pepper. Don't feel that you need to go heavy-handed on it. So see how much of a difference this sauce looks already. It is so thick and so lovely. So now it is time for our cheese. I know this might look like a lot, but your girl loves some cheesy mac and cheese, right? So we are going to be using 1 cup of a regular sharp cheddar. Then I'm going to be using 1 3/4 cup of a fat-free sharp cheddar, and then 1 3/4 cup of a fat-free mozzarella. And this will just pour right into our sauce and it'll just melt right in. So give it a good stir. I like to stir it the entire time with this. I'll do a little taste test. And then we are going to add in our noodles. So I am just going to add in half of these and fold in that cheese sauce. And then we're going to add in the rest and fold that in as well. Now, one reason that I choose to use rotini noodles over other noodles is because it has all those ridges and grooves and curls in there. And that means that there's gonna be cheese in every single little crevice of those noodles. And I don't know about you, but I love that. I love every single bite to be amazing and super cheesy and perfect. So we're gonna load up those noodles, and next we're just gonna go ahead and dump the whole thing into a baking dish. Now I did spray this down with some cooking spray before I poured it in there. And then I'm just gonna spread everything out so it's nice and even. So next I just went ahead and melted a little bit of what I like to call a faux butter or a light butter. So this is the I Can't Believe It's Not Butter Light, and I just went ahead and melted 1 tablespoon of that. And then in the rest of my toppings here, I am using half a cup of panko, 1/4 cup of our fat-free sharp cheddar, and then 1/4 cup of our fat-free mozzarella. And then I'm just gonna gradually sprinkle this over top, very, very gradually. So just make sure it's nice and even, and the panko mixed in with that butter and some cheese is gonna give it this beautiful, delicious crust right on top. So it's really nice, and you can just very gradually add that cheese in. So this is the rest of my sharp cheddar here. And then this is where we're just gonna pop into the oven for about 30 minutes or until that top is starting to turn a little golden brown and we can start to see some bubbles coming up on the side. So again, I just went ahead and threw this in the oven. It's gonna bake for about 30 minutes at 350 degrees. And there we have it. So I'm gonna go ahead and scoop out a couple servings. Look at that cheese, you guys. Even though this has the majority of our cheeses being fat-free, we still get this creamy, delicious mac and cheese.
Look as far as I can see, but you don't want to talk to me, no. And not through words, not through songs, not through whispers, not through phones. When I look at you, I know that got me in a state of mind, traveling through wasted time. Think of how I live.
Alrighty, so there we have it.
So there is our healthy mac and cheese, and you guys are not gonna believe these macros.
Yeah, these macros are absolutely insane. So the recipe for this makes about 16 total servings, and for one serving, it's about 135 total grams.
Yep.
The actual macro breakdown of one serving, get this. We have 28 grams of carbs, 7 grams of fat, and then 15 grams of protein. Macaroni and cheese, that high in protein?
I know, it's crazy. That brings us to about 234 total calories in one serving of mac and cheese.
This is absolutely the best. I cannot wait to dig into it.
And I told you in the beginning, mac and cheese is known for being a high fat, high carb meal. So the majority of these macros do come from carbs, but your second main macronutrient is from protein, and then third is fat. So we really, really reduce the fat here, but still try to maintain that amazing flavor.
I know my mom makes some heavy fat macaroni and cheese, but today
I
we're
mean,
being
most
a little
people
bit.
do, honestly. Honestly, they do.
Yeah, today we're being a little bit healthier, so
Yeah.
let's dig right in.
Okay.
So let's taste it.
Oh yeah, because we put the panko crust on top, so it's kind of crunchy.
Ready?
Ready?
Yeah. So for our last video, I definitely was like, this is really, really good. I don't know, it's the same thing. This is really great.
It's amazing. You've never had
Yeah.
this recipe though, have you?
No, not at all. So this is my first time trying it along with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything about it. I'm not the greatest food critic, but I'll try to be the greatest food critic.
Let's hear it. Describe it for me.
So, the top panko has a nice crusty layer that soothes the palate as you dig into the cheese. And then the cheese coats you with a nice little mwah at the end.
Oh my god. So the crust on top is definitely crunchy because we have that cheese panko with a little bit of butter to give it that nice crispy top. The cheese sauce that we made for the mac and cheese is so creamy and delicious, and I feel like it still tastes pretty rich, even though the majority of the cheeses that we used were a fat-free cheese.
You can keep talking, I'll keep eating.
And the noodles are perfect since in the beginning we cooked them a little al dente, but once we threw them back in the oven, they finished cooking up and are phenomenal.
These noodles remind me of one of my favorite places I used to get macaroni and cheese. Now I used to eat a lot of fast food growing up, but Boston Market, whew, they used to make a great mac and cheese, but I'm pretty sure it's super high in fat. Anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that one has a very runny sauce too, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is like the Boston Market macaroni and cheese on steroids with a lot of protein and even better.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah, it's so good. And the great thing about this recipe too is you can make it ahead of time and then throw it in the fridge. You can even make it way in advance, throw it in the freezer, just pull it out, let it dethaw and bake it. So it's super easy to use, especially since we talked about making this mac and cheese for holidays or special occasions, or if you're just mac and cheese fans like us and just want to have it on standby.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I feel like in a typical food show, you don't see the people that are tasting the food finish the entire thing, but sorry, I did finish the entire thing.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm definitely going back for seconds and probably thirds. Well, thank you guys again for tuning in to another Jones Kitchen video. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss another video just like this one where we walk you guys through all the steps and how to make your favorite foods even healthier.
If there's anything that you want to see, if you have a favorite food that's not super healthy, or maybe it's super high in fat or super high in carb, and you want to make it a little healthier, not that fats and carbs are a bad thing, those are just things that we want to try to use in moderation. Or if you have a meal that doesn't have any protein in it, throw it my way and I would love to tackle it and make it a little healthier for you.
Yes, thank you guys again, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.